All right, y'all. So let's talk about this. So tomorrow, you got Jaron Ennis versus Zander tomorrow. Now, for all of the people that's picking Zander to win, I wonder if they're saying this about Zander because they really believe it, or if they really think that Jaron Ennis is going to win. But if they hype up Zander enough and then Boots do win, he'll finally get that push that he's been trying to get, because there's several people that Boots beat and people were saying he was going to lose. But none of those fights put him to where he's that guy. Maybe he'll never be that guy in terms of the way that people see him. And I say this about Zander, that I'm saying this about that fight with Zander because you know what I find really crazy? Out of all the fighters, let's just be real, and y'all know that this is facts. Of all the fighters that's out here right now, you never heard so much talk about Zander being that guy, and Zander this and Zander that until now. So if Zander was making headlines before this fight and everybody was talking about him, and you know damn well nobody was really bringing up Zander's name. Not that he's not a good fighter, because he is a good fighter. But I'm saying a lot of times it's a strategy employed with trying to get certain fighters pushed, or sometimes, people are underestimated. Now, also I say that because if you notice something, every fighter that's 23 years old, 24 years old, lose to a fighter that they don't want to see him lose to. That's the excuse they use when he loses. Just like when Brian Norman was fighting Haney. Everybody that said Haney was good, the majority of people said Haney was going to lose. The majority said Brian Norman is too strong, he hits too hard. People thought that, this was going to be a mismatch because Haney's not going to have nothing to keep him off. He's not going to have enough power. And he goes in there and dropped Brian Norman early and dominated that fight. And then people started going, yeah, but Brian Norman is young. He didn't have the experience. Why was none of you people saying this before the Haney fight? So you knew who had the experience advantage before the fight, and y'all still said that Brian Norman was going to win. So my thing is, just a thought, if Boots go in there and get the job done, right? Is the excuse going to be, but says he's only 23? I know when I was a kid growing up, I didn't hear these kind of excuses. Yeah, I heard people say things like that boy ain't ready for that guy, like Terry Norris versus Sugar Ray. They didn't say, oh, he's only 24, he's only 24 years old, but they basically were saying like Ray got too much experience. Ray fought the better competition, and Ray fought this, and Ray did that. Nobody said nothing about Ray Leonard being washed up. He was only 34 years old, but nobody said any of that. It's after he lost, that's when, oh man, Ray was old, and all right, here we go with that. So it might be the same thing. I feel like Boots is a person that it's like the in thing to hate on Boots. So if he goes in there and win, now all of a sudden, and I'm bringing this to everybody's attention in case if Boots does go in there and win, don't start saying that he was too young. Everything that you know about Zander's ass right now, and that's from Roy Jones, Tim Bradley, everybody that's picked his ass to win. If he wins, then he wins. But if he goes in there and he loses, you're a hypocrite to start talking about he's only 23. Because right now you know he's only 23. And regardless, you think that he has what it takes to beat Boots. I think that for Boots, man, it's more about if he can get those signature fights that will get him the kind of money that he wants. That's all their business. I'm only concerned about just if I feel like it's a good fight that I'll watch, then I'll watch. I'm not going to dictate what somebody should or shouldn't do and how they should go about it. That's their business. Like I said, I'm only about, if I'm interested in the fight, then I'm interested. If I'm not, then I'm not. But I think that Boots is just one of these guys, man, that people just love to hate. They don't want to see Boots get to, a certain plateau. And let's just be real, a whole lot of these people are Terrence Crawford fans. They just don't want to see the dude, get to that point because they don't want to see, it's always like people don't want to see someone get surpassed that they like more than another person. to be honest with you, man, I feel like it's all a waste of time, man. All that greatest of all time shit and all this who's the GOAT and whatever it, man. I think, I know, the younger you are, you think about shit like that. But when you wise up, you realize it don't mean a goddamn thing, man. Let's be real. The President of the United States is trying to erase all these records of black people contributing to this country. And those are things that where people were, it's not about bragging. It's like things were invented, things were created, freedoms and different things happen because of these people, and you want to get rid of that. Meanwhile, y'all out here worried about the greatest of all time or whatever. I think that all of that is just like a bunch of unnecessary stress that fighters carry for no reason. They don't have to, they don't need to, you know. And I think that regardless to what anybody says, you know, as a fighter, your focus should be on what you need to do. And I'm not saying Boots isn't doing that, but like, because Boots only answer questions. I never see Boots make videos and he's jumping on it the way you see Shakur and these guys do, and just bitching and whining and complaining. And he just, you know, he does interviews and people ask certain questions. Other than that, he doesn't really have too much to say, you know, to all the naysayers and about what they think. And here's the thing. If he goes in there and wins this fight, I don't care if it's a close fight or however, a win is a win. But say he goes in there and he really wins, like even if it's a good fight, but say he's clearly winning the fight, and especially if he knocks his ass out, and people start this shit with, oh, he's only 23, or he, right? Well, then who is it that Boots can beat that he's finally gonna get that credit? Like, you understand what I'm saying? I really could care less about what the fans think, and I've always said that, like, the fans that support what you do, they come out to watch the fights and all. Yeah, you're gonna look at those people and be appreciative that, you know, they're coming out. Everybody's not gonna like you, and I'm pretty sure Boots knows that. But the reality is, as far as him getting to the point where the fans, he gets the respect where he can sell out, you know, arenas and he is a household name to where he's one of the big draws, where he can get those bigger fights. You know, pretty much that's what, you know, the goal is for fighters, man. You know, and I don't think that Boots really is at all in any, like, position of having to try to prove to people he's that good verbally. I don't think any fighter. You do it in the ring. The problem with Boots is no matter who he beat, every time they say he's going to lose, he's going to lose. You know, this guy is, yeah, this guy is too good, and he's this, and if he hits Boots, it's over. All these things they're saying. If Boots go in there and nullify this guy, break him down, and get the win, you know, it's really, like, irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, there's several fighters out here that were on top at one point. You know? You know, like they were on top. Then, you know, fighters go through different things. You know, let's hate on this guy now. Oh, this guy had a situation with this guy. Oh, I don't like this guy no more. It becomes a personal thing. And it's no longer about the fights. It's more about people's personal feelings. And that has nothing to do with, you know, the facts. So when I look at that, I just say, hey, man, you know, for Jaron Boots Ennis, he knows what the assignment is, right? So he knows what he has to do. And to me, that's what's most important. It's truly not about, I got to get these fans to accept me or to see me in a different light. People are going to do what they want to do. And I think that this fight right here, you know, people are talking like this is the fight. But again, you know what it reminds me of? In all honesty, the same like the guy, I forget his name, that fought, that Terrence Crawford went up and fought at 154. Nobody was talking about this guy. Nobody. You never heard anybody mention this guy's name about anything. All of a sudden, he's fighting Crawford. People are telling you this guy's better than Canelo. He's the best fighter at 154. The guy only had 11 pro fucking fights. And when he loses to Crawford, then he loses again to Ortiz. All of a sudden now, nobody's talking about this guy. His name is not even being mentioned. When was the last time anybody ever talked about him? You understand what I'm saying? And regardless to the fact that Crawford's retired, this is a guy. How the hell do you go from being the best fighter in the division with only 11 fights, but all of a sudden now you get beat by another guy, and people were saying he was going to knock out Ortiz. Oh, he's too slick. He's this and that. Only Crawford can beat him. He said the same thing when it came to Deontay, against Fury. Fury's the only guy that could beat Deontay, and he lost again, And so it's one of these things. Oh, he's old now, but y'all still want to see him fight. Like, it's crazy to me, and this is one of the reasons why boxing has become so dull and boring. Because when you are covering fights, for me, it's about the better man is just gonna win. But everything now is so watered down, and it's all about this drama. And instead of giving you boxing news, it's more about it's like we're giving you soap operas. Because this person jumped on social media and said this and said that, and then this one fired back, and he said this and he said that, and send the contract, all this BS. The fights never happen. This one is scared of that one is scared of this one. Oh, he's the one holding up the fight. Oh, nah, man, it's his fault. Oh, nah, what happened was this. Oh, Shelly Finkel said this and that. Hey, man, Frank Warren said, Eddie Hearn said, hey, you know what really happened? And we're talking about everything except for the outcome of a fight. So, you know what I mean? This fight's tomorrow, and I'm just putting this out here because this is gonna go beyond just the fight tomorrow. Now, should Boots win? Now, if he loses, he does lose. But if he wins the fight, and like I said, even if it's a close fight, if Zayas is as good as everybody's saying, right, and he wins, I've seen him fight before. What I'm saying, if he's that guy like everybody's saying, right, then even if it's a close fight, then you still should give Boots his props, because if he wins in a close fight against a guy that everybody is saying is too big and strong for Boots, and all the things they're saying, if he hits Boots, he lands clean, it's over, Boots not going to be able to take his punches and everything. So if Boots overcomes all of that, how could you not give him his props? How can you not, give credit where it's due? I don't really care about these people's personal plans. That's their business. Like I said, I'm not here to cross my fingers and smile because somebody else is getting richer, but that's their business. I'm just focused on the fights. This is not even about who I want to win. I really don't even give a fuck. I'm just giving the boxing news, man. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm gonna ride with mine the same way everybody gonna ride with theirs. But at the end of the day, it's not even about that right now. This is just, the fight's gonna happen. I'm not emotionally invested in any of these fighters or what they do. Most of these motherfuckers wind up being sellouts and soft, weak ass, not who you thought they were type people anyway. But it is what it is. All I'm concerned about, all I'm focused on is the fight. And it's not even like I'm grown up. I'm a mature grown man. I'm not some little kid jumping up out my shoes, opening up my seat, about to jump out of my shoes because a fight is happening. I just look at the fight for what it is, and what's gonna happen is gonna happen. It's as simple as that. I don't care what Boots said to Zander. I don't care what Zander said to Boots. I don't care about the threats and I don't care about any of that. None of that matters. All that matters is once that bell rings, who's the better fighter that night. That's all that matters. So we'll see what happens. But again, just keep in mind, if Boots win, regardless to how he wins, like I said, whether it's a close fight or whether he dominates, and especially if he knocks him out. But however, you're gonna have people still trying to deny Boots is that guy, or he's good enough, or earned that right to be mentioned with the top, guys in the sport. All this stuff, he gets hit, and it's amazing. And you want to know what? It's crazy because there's always a bunch of black motherfuckers who sit there talking shit about Boots. It's always. And, for people who don't think Boots is going to beat Zander and they're not black or whatever. But it's always black people that just have the most to say and try to put down another black fighter just because everybody else is doing it. And guess what? We don't mind being a bunch of coons, and we'll chime in and try to chop Boots down. You know, he's a black man just like us, but yeah, why not try to chop him down and be a part of the majority here? Get the people to side with us, because if we're agreeing with them, yeah, they're gonna hit the like button on my video, and they're gonna subscribe, and yeah, and all of that, and you know, we know what that is. Anyway, we'll see what happens. That's all I got for you guys right now. Catch you guys on the next video.